record. Before I forget, don't want people to miss our toilet talk.
Dude, I got a message from Earl today saying the stuff you guys did was awesome and it was fucking hilarious and I'm gonna have to cut it.
From the Orville.
Yeah, because Jessica was like, after Jean got punched in the face by Tala and they had to break up, I just felt so bad for him. I was like, you think he got punched in the face, Jessica? Is that how you think he got those injuries? And she was like, oh. So I kind of like went right up to the edge and she was just like, so it was like facial. So she was like a facial bruisal, cunnilingomy or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, like I go to the edge and then you just fucking throw me right over. So Earl was like, funny stuff. Probably going to put it on Patreon, just for the members. But we can't put that on Apple Podcasts. We just can't.
I was doing my Twilight Zones with Luke, and at the end he said fucking something. I was like, oh, I guess you're gonna have to cut that. I was like, dude, I'm gonna have to cut like 10 of the things you said, or bleep them at least, because in the Twilight Zone I just use a little edit. So
of course, yeah. Let me see. I got a bunch of windows open right now. I want to make sure there's probably a 50-50 chance I'm going to hang up on you. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to get rid of Discord and I'm just going to keep Audacity and Zoom open. And you like for me to record local audio, if I remember right, and send it to you?
Just as a precaution. I usually don't need it, but you never know when something funky happens, because since I do all the editing, so if I can just like plop it in and
yeah,
that's usually nicest.
Sure. Is Luke going to join us tonight?
Yeah. He should be coming in. He's usually just on time or a minute or two late.
Good.
His computer's just a bit of a I don't know. Well, like mine, but falling apart more.
Right. I get it. So
I just saw him go active now on Facebook, so that means he should be on his way.
Good deal. And I got you. So you're literally sitting on an ironing board, and on top of the ironing board there is the trash can, and then the laptop's on top of the trash can, and I'm sitting on the thing you put your suitcase on. And then on top of that, just to make it high enough, I've got like the box with all like the fucking teas and the coffee kit and stuff in there. So it's actually working out okay, as long as I don't like overheat in here in the next hour. I think I'll be okay.
When we don't have guests, we tend to record outside. So we did Jurassic Park, and I had a friend said I couldn't listen to that one there because of the cicadas. I was like, well, it sounds like Dinosaur Land, right?
And, that's right, man. Sounds like exactly right.
We did one on a rocky outcropping once that ended up kind of wind damaged. So
good. So I got in Zoom, I got my levels set automatically.
They usually all come mic through fine. I mean, I just put out one where the guest was also like at a hotel, but like in a hotel lobby or something. So
right.
It wasn't that bad, but you could definitely tell, the disparation in sound quality a bit.
Good. This should sound better. I did a test about a half hour ago, and it was just like stuff I couldn't even hear. I didn't even notice. I was like, oh, this is not gonna work, dude. So
that is plus of my insane mic setup here is that, because I live right by the train tracks. So if the train, since it's like meant for vocals, like, this is what they have at open mic night. It doesn't catch when you're this far away. So
right.
If when you play in bands and stuff, you gotta learn like to just eat the microphones.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got this is the first time I kind of brought stuff to podcast with on the road. So it's working out okay, I think, so far. I'd like to get this to where it sits a little closer to me. Let's see, I got this fucking thing right here that holds fucking Kleenex. Sorry, I'm saying fuck.
That's fine. This is the podcast where you can say fuck. That's fine. Again, the Twilight Zone, when you can say it too, I just have to go edit in my bleep, which is kind of fun.
Right.
It's nice when I don't have to edit, but it's also kind of fun to include the censor sometimes.
How's that show doing, man? You're looking at your analytics and stuff, or you're just doing it for fun, or?
I'm basically doing it for fun. It does seem like, on transistors, the analytics are kind of hazy. It is like, more listeners each month, and I get a
Good.
fair amount of feedback. So anyway, I feel like I have some hype men over at the Discord and stuff. So
yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, Jess and I got to have our dinner with Seth, our drinks the other night with Seth, so that was fun.
Oh yeah. Oh, here we go. Matt, you don't need to send the nagging little messages. You know it takes a minute. Okay. I just sort of a wheeze rolling message. So don't know if you know Sun Ra always 2 minutes late according to his movie. So
oh, I didn't know that. Did not.
Oh, it's just the Lions movie because his spaceship's landing. It's like not there now. It's like, what's happening? And the guy's like, Sun Ra's always 2 minutes late. It's for the weird jazz cat. But actually, very space is the place. Early 70s, like just bizarro blaxploitation.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
We did a weird one. Where we instantly dated that podcast because that was one of our outdoor recordings. And it was like it was like the day the George Floyd thing happened. So it's like the next day, it's like, wow, we not addressing that or anything suddenly seems really strange.
Yeah, so, I know.
Totally bizarro timing.
Like when fucking Seth drops abortion right in when Roe v. Wade gets overturned.
Oh yeah, I was like, wait, when did they make this again?
Yeah, like fucking 3 years ago.
Weird thing in Japan is that's legal, but then getting like actual birth control, like pills, is like really difficult because I think it's because Japanese pharmaceuticals want to make it all themselves. So if they don't have their own version, then they're like, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, at least it's I don't know what the fuck it is, man. It's crazy times. I think I think of it as a just people trying to hang on. It's kind of like their last gasp, but hanging on to power.
Let's see. Zoom is being particularly fucking slow today. So, okay, he's on the way sometime soon.
Okay.
I guess you don't have anywhere to go.
I can't even. I'm good, man. I got into the hotel. It's just kind of, it's funny. I was supposed to be off. So this was supposed to be perfect. I was supposed to be off. Let me think about this. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was supposed to be off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday every week. So I was like, Tuesday's perfect. And then I started doing some work in our flight ops safety department to kind of help support what they do with training, because I've got a training background. So I was like, okay, that sounds like fun. I can do that, a few days, a few, kind of like half the month was the idea. So I did it the first 2 weeks of the month. Then I had the last 2 weeks of the month where I was just going to fly Thursday through Sunday, and it was perfect. And then things started to bubble up on my calendar, and I was like, you guys know I'm part-time, right? And there was a little bit of like but we really need you here for this. And I was like, all right, fine. So I came down to Dallas to do basically just today. And then I was like, if I'm going to do today, I'm just going to get a hotel overnight, because otherwise I was going to have to cancel on you. And I know you said we could do next week, but I didn't want to do that to you.
No, I appreciate it. You can come in from anywhere you want, really. So
yeah, no, I appreciate it. But I was like, if I can make this work. So I just told the company, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do office days on Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll get a hotel Tuesday night, and then just pray to God I've got good enough internet to make it work.
Luke's in the gray zone, I guess.
We'll see. Once, hey, there he is. Once everybody starts fucking jerking off here in about an hour to hotel internet, I might lose my connection. I don't know.
Yeah, he's in what he explained as a Fugazi booth tonight. So
and I also have, and at this point I have my my toes underneath the front legs of the ironing board to keep everything stable. So I'm good, man. I think this is gonna work.
No, from our end, everything like looks legit. It's like that meme I saw shortly after everyone was like zooming all the time, and it had like the Simpsons house where just like camera line is here, and it was just total disaster outside.
Oh, dude, that's like my office where we do mission log out of. Like you pan around, it's fucking squalor, dude. Just like, but it looks so nice. You have a globe and those shelves. I'm like, yeah.
I just have Miles O'Brien style socks on the floor, which my Japanese wife does complain about. So, Luke, you want to just jump on in then?
All right. In the year 1997, a deep impact threatened the world with Armageddon.
You just confused me. What are we doing? Did I watch the wrong movie? Did I watch the same movie?
I would say you watched the right movie.
Yeah, I mean, by comparison, Armageddon is awesome. I mean, Téa Leoni, Morgan Freeman, they're all right, but it's not Deep Impact. I mean, it's not Armageddon.
Which one? Yeah, I mean, Deep Impact is a kind of thoughtful movie about an impending disaster, right? Something that'll really screw up the earth, but not destroy the earth. But this one, Armageddon, blow shit up. Yeah, right on. So we're gonna have a big dumb conversation about a big dumb movie. This is Matt here.
This is Luke.
It's a sci-fi sanctuary. You've already heard him a bit. You've heard him on this podcast a bit before. It's coming in from Mission Log to Orville. Hello, Mike Richards.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Luke. How are you guys doing?
Pretty groovy.
Great.
I guess because our last movie was like Snakes on a Plane. So when Armageddon was coming up, it was like, I think I should call Mike. But
the funny part is, and I'm not afraid to admit it, like I saw this in the movies in, I believe you said 97, 98. I loved this movie at the time. We'll talk more about it. But then I revisited it with a couple of years ago. It was on one of the streamers. And I was like, gather around, kids. We're going to watch the best movie of all time. And I was like, oh God. Oh God. Now, some of it holds up and some of it doesn't. But I was a little surprised at how much of the movie I had erased from my memory that maybe didn't quite hold up. But some of it is just flat out fun. It really is.
Well, the tone here, actually, I was just thinking maybe thinking about the Orville's part of where I came in, because I'm going to give the Orville like it's smarter, it hits social issues, but just that kind of mix of like kind of insane sci-fi and a touch of comedy, but still a little resonance here and there. I feel like it's kind of sort of in the same wheelhouse, not as smart, but it's like the older, dumber brother, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it has a lot of neat nostalgic qualities about it. Just the opening with Charlton Heston, from that old time sci-fi Soylent Green, Planet of the Apes guy. It just kind of like brought you back into that, it's kind of the bridge to that era, from now to that era of sci-fi. But things like Owen Wilson just being funny with the one-liners, and just other not Matt, AJ and Harry Stamper, just their interaction, was funny. And you're right, it was sci-fi with kind of enough comedy interwoven into I think, keep me entertained for, you said big dumb movie, 2 hours 31 minutes. That is right. A big dumb movie.
Yeah.
I remember I did see this opening night. This is like right when I just every Friday I'd see something that was on release, and probably Saturday too.
Sure.
But yeah, they started putting out the posters and things for like 97. Like in my mind, I think we were like coming out of The Fifth Element. There was just this massive cardboard display for Armageddon. No clue what it was going to be about. So, and you just come out of The Fifth Element, so you're like, whoa, they have to top that, but they really sat on like what it was about for quite a long time. And like, just, I mean, I guess Christopher Nolan can still kind of do that, where it's just like a title and an interesting image and nobody has any clue. I went to Tenet like not knowing anything. I again didn't love it, but I had no clue what I was getting into, and that I felt like that was a cool way to get into it. And Armageddon, definitely. I sat in the theater just not knowing what I was about to watch.
That's kind of cool, though. I mean, I think it really is that it worked out that way.
Yeah, but just here's your big summer tent pole with Bruce Willis in the late 90s is all Bruce Willis, well, and Will Smith, because we do our July 4th ones. But so Luke, you're coming from a different perspective. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I guess you could have seen this as little 8-year-old Luke in the theater, but probably not.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it in a theater until last week.
Wait,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the cinema here in Nagano, they show classic films. And last 2 weeks it's been Armageddon.
Oh, you gotta spew out again the previous 2 weeks.
It was The Right Stuff, then Apollo 13, then Armageddon.
That is an interesting combo. That is an interesting 1-2. The 1-2 punch was great. The number 3 punch was a little bit odd.
History of NASA movies. But then coming up, it's Blade Runner and then the Matrix trilogy. So
That's not, yeah, that little themed month is over, I guess. But no, I actually watched this. Mike, you said you put on you put this on for your family and was like, oh God, I did the same thing like 2 months ago. So
What'd they think of it?
they were okay with it. Actually, my wife had seen it because maybe a year or two ago she was doing the stepper thing, like just step up, step down, and I gave her a folder of movies, and Armageddon was in there, so I think she watched most of them at that time.
So is it like, depending on how she's doing, do you give her like an hour 40 movie and then like maybe a 2 hour and 30 movie to do her steppers on? Or
oh, she chooses.
Okay, good.
I just gave her the folder of like, excuse me, about like 20, 30 movies that I thought, because I got a bunch of horror, sci-fi, and geeky stuff she doesn't want to see, so I was trying to cherry pick things that I felt like Armageddon was still kind of palatable to the non-sci-fi geek.
Yeah, and this movie was just my wife does like it because it has just enough of that, romantic love story. She loves the as a former flight attendant, she loves the, I'm leaving on a jet plane song, and the arrangement by Ben Affleck, and how he backed up by Steve Buscemi, and I always get his name wrong. Michael Clark Duncan. Michael,
I think
Duncan.
That's right.
Okay.
Oh no, yeah, I don't know if it's Clark Duncan or Duncan Clark.
I know, and I just messed us all up.
Well, one of those was correct, so we
Michael
got it right.
Deep Impact.
Okay.
But
I was disappointed, Luke, that you didn't see it on Sunday. So you would have come out of the movie and seen me sitting there and would have been really confused. Last Sunday, my daughter wanted to see an anime, right? But like mom and dad can't go in because she's too embarrassed because she's 13. So we just had to like hang out in the lobby. I was going to go see Thor, but the anime was like 68 minutes long, and Thor is another big, dumb movie. So
it sure was. It was fun. It was more of a comedy, but it was fun. I hope I didn't tell this story last time I was here. My son was getting ready to go. He went to a boarding school junior and senior year of high school, and he was going to have a roommate for the first time in his life. And we were like, what are you looking for in a roommate? And he goes, I don't know. And I was like, what about like common interests and stuff? And he goes, as long as he doesn't watch anime, I'm okay. And I was literally watching Space Battleship Yamato, the reimagining ones, the 2202 that, they made a few years ago, literally watching it at that time. And I just looked at him like, really, dude? And he was like, oh, I didn't know you were watching that.
Yeah, no, my daughter has this like lightning fast reflex. Like even if I just like open the front door, run down the hallway, and go in the dining room, she will have turned off whatever anime she had on the television.
Oh, that's funny.
Like for a while, a few nights, because she stays up a little later now. She's in junior high, and I come in, I'm like, you're just staring at remote controls at 11 p.m. and what are you doing? And then I heat up some food. I look over, she's got 2 remote controls. I'm like, oh, you're staring at 2 remote controls. This was before I picked up on the fact that she was basically turning off whatever was on the television.
Yeah.
And then she keeps it at like pretty low volume because she's Japanese polite or whatever. But so I really thought she was just sitting around at night staring at remote controls a few times.
Wishing she was still allowed to watch TV that late at night. So I honestly went into this movie, and I don't know, I'm definitely a credits watcher. I keep an eye on the opening and the closing, but with this, when I watched this movie, I was looking away quite a bit to type notes in on my iPhone. So I had the iPad up and I'm typing away. So I completely missed that it was a Michael Bay film until I got finished with it. And then I was like, of course it is. Who else would do this?
I think I did watch it as a kid, like on TV or on a videotape. But this time I was watching it entirely like, okay, so let's see this pre-Transformers Michael Bay film. And like watching it from that angle, you're like, oh, that's where that special effect comes from. And oh, look, that's exactly the same set design he uses for Decepticon planets. And
I would still
Michael
say
Bay film is a Michael Bay film.
Yeah. And I would still say the best effect in the movie is, dropping a car on another car. But because you're just like, well, at the beginning, you're like, whoa, they're dropping cars on each other.
Yeah, well, the first Transformers, right? The best effect is when he's just dropping tanks on other tanks.
But so dude who's kind of like stereotypical, very common character. It seems like in 90s, the guy riding the bicycle that had the dog, right? He was very, very outspoken, very packed a lot of dialogue into a short amount of time. And I was like, oh, this guy could be fun. Kind of a, I don't know. could be a main character in this movie. And I was like, and he's dead. And then I was like, oh, wait, he's alive. And his dog is hanging from a leash. Like, how did he live through that?
Can't kill the dog, man.
The sales dude, the vendor was dead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And that the guy was also a little bit racist too. He said, get your pineapple ass eating pineapple face eating face out of my face or something like that. I'm like, whoa, hey, dude, come on. Like, let's,
well, that's why he had to die.
Yeah.
Well, he was quite large, so it protected the dog from the impact. But,
I guess that's what it was. But I was like, how is he not dead? I loved, there's a certain innocence, I think, that you see in kind of like pre 9/11 movies here in the US. I think it was, just seeing the pre 9/11 skyline in New York City was nice. And then of course they blew it all to hell. But the Chrysler building coming down had kind of a sad effect on me. I always liked that building. That's the one where the gargoyles are that Bruce that Spider-Man hangs out on.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see one of the gargoyles drop from the building, and I swear it's literally the one I had with my Spider-Man action figure when I was a kid.
Yeah, voiced by Jonathan Frakes, I think, right?
Oh, that's the other gargoyles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was in the animated version.
Before we get in too deep, I'll just give that quick plot description, to warm up people's brains in case they didn't have the 2 hours and 30 minutes to watch Armageddon again.
Pay attention, listeners, because this one's cerebral.
The Earth's gonna blow up. An asteroid the size of Texas is on the way and will impact in less than a month. NASA decides to send 2 ships to the rock to drill holes, send in a nuke, and blow the things up from the inside. To do so, they enlist master driller Harry Stemper to consult their team of astronauts. But Stemper says he's got 18 roughnecks ready to go right now, and they suck. They spend their time about equally training for the mission and getting arrested. But soon it's launch time. After a refueling stop at Space Station Mir, which they promptly blow up, it's on the way to the asteroid. The shuttle Independence crash lands while Freedom misses their mark and lands on a sheet of metal. They do make progress with the drilling, but a blowout sends their drilling rig hurtling off into space. Fortunately, the survivors of Independence show up with the second rig, and they get her done. The nuke's trigger has sustained damage, though, and Harry stays back to manually detonate, thus saving the world while the surviving astronauts and drillers return home as heroes. Okay.
Pretty much.
Yep. So
very nicely done. I need to get my mission log, the Orville recaps down to about that length.
I think I took this movie specifically because I could keep it short, because the other one on the table was Contact, and I Luke knows I would have sat there and like rewritten the book for that. So
yeah, Matt's synopses are only short because I bullied him into making them short over the course of 3 years.
But yeah, no, that was right spot on, man. You hit all the high points.
We like to talk actors a little bit. I mean, well, it is a pretty ensemble cast, though it's still like, Bruce Willis is like the man, with a deep guttural voice in this movie. So
I realized something as I was watching this. I've never really seen young Bruce Willis. But I guess that's because he started his career on TV and I've never watched like Moonlighting or whatever. But even Die Hard, I think of as the first Bruce Willis, and he's already like, the point of him there is that he's like an old dad.
Right. So this is like midlife crisis, dyeing your hair, Bruce Willis, or wearing a toupee or whatever.
Like,
yeah, it was kind of pre-toupee. It was like pre-toupee Billy Bob Thornton and post-toupee Bruce Willis. I think he was doing something there. But yeah, he was not a kid when Moonlighting came out in the like 85-ish. If I remember right, he was probably already 35, 40 years old. So, and this movie was kind of nice because he was kind of, transitioned into that, guardian protector. I'm going to make sure that, I take care of everybody else role, which is kind of a, at 55, it's a phase of life where, I definitely understand, I'm not out there pitching every night, but I can certainly do my best to help, try to help other people do their best.
I think this is the movie where several folks in the ensemble cast sort of like, this is actually where they kind of really hit the mainstream. Because Ben Affleck before this, Good Will Hunting, but that's kind of the art film, the little film that could, he was a total prick in Mallrats.
Yeah, Chasing Amy. He and Matt Damon, got some props for that also. I think that had to be before this.
But I feel like this is the arrival of like the Affleck that we have in our minds today, more or less.
Yeah, totally agree. And he looked great. I thought he was charming. He was a good looking, young man. I could definitely see, why he rose to stardom as quickly as he did personally.
Watching this again, that's like Bruce Willis. I guess I watched this in other of his 90s films so much, like that wasn't surprising. I know what he looks like in these films, but particularly seeing Affleck looking so young is kind of weird, because now we have kind of sulky, Affleck with the bags under their eyes,
Yeah.
So but yeah, I don't think any of us had time to sit down, watch the commentary with this one, but if you have the chance, Affleck's commentary is about as entertaining as the movie, because he has no filter basically.
Did that commentary come out? That was probably made 6 months after the film was released, kind of on the DVD release. So it's probably 25-year-old commentary, do you think, or is it more
I think
contemporary than that?
I want to say it was on the Criterion disc, which I think was a year or two later, but yeah, about that vintage. Yeah.
Okay.
I got a Japanese Blu-ray with nothing on it that I was watching, the past couple nights. So
yeah, I wonder how he feels now about the movie, if he's proud of it or not. I think it is a rip-roaring, romping good time. I mean, it's got its silly moments, but like you mentioned, I mean, you got Owen Wilson, and it's Owen Wilson with his pre-signature hairdo, which I kind of liked. He just kind of had it, coned back. We got the guy that played his buddy, who was I remember him as Coach Yost from Remember the Titans. What was his name in this one here? The guy with the son and the wife that he went to visit, Chick. We saw him. He was bouncing around in a bunch of things in the late 90s. And then of course you got the other guys in there too. Buscemi's always entertaining. So yeah, good ensemble cast. I don't know what space dementia is, but holy cow, man, that was diagnosed quickly.
That's one of the bits I remember most from this film before we watched it, was just how absolutely out of nowhere it came. Like, right, we need one more disaster to hit them. All right, Steve Buscemi goes insane.
There was like almost one line of foreshadowing when he was like, "This is crazy, man. We're not gonna make it." Like he did like this, almost like Vietnam, movie era, he's losing his stuff. But then all of a sudden out of nowhere, he's like, "Hey, I got this gun. I'm just gonna start firing it at everybody."
Leaving? Are we leaving? Are we not leaving? I had the perfect seat picked out.
But yeah, he was great. And he said, when he was like, Captain America overshot the landing zone by 26 miles. And he goes, "How could you possibly know that?" He goes, "Because I'm a genius." I was just like, yeah, I still remember laughing at that when I saw it in the theater.
Geniuses can still go nuts, I suppose.
I think.
Yeah, in space dementia, that's apparently a thing that you get in movies.
Apparently this was the film that discovered Michael Clark Duncan. He wasn't an actor before this film, and Michael Bay just thought he was a cool guy and put him in his movie.
And then he was same kind of thing.
Choice.
He was in everything, and for that period of time, right? Green Mile, if I remember right, and he was just kind of all over the place.
No, I do remember this movie. One that I do need to revisit is Con Air, because I remember that it came out the year after this, the next Michael Bay movie, and I just hated it because it's the first movie. It's the first movie where Nick Cage wanted to like actually be an action man, which we're used to now, but we were used to seeing him like leaving Las Vegas and stuff. So you're like, what is happening? The Rock, it was his first actionary, but that threw me off.
And it was the first movie where I remember is, "Oh, darling, I'm gonna get out of prison. I'm gonna come home with that down home accent he had." And I'm like, come on, Nick Cage. What is that?
I think See, I think now I'd appreciate it, because now we're all used to like Crazy Nick. But I guess I shouldn't go too far on Nick because he's not in this movie. But most of the ensemble cast from here does return, and I guess, I mean, again, I maybe I'd appreciate more, but I felt like they didn't have the sparkle that they did in Armageddon. Because what is it? I think Buscemi.
It's
Buscemi?
not a Michael Bay film, Matt.
It's not okay.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said that because I think it came out around the same time.
Oh, okay. Who made it? Are you looking at
Simon West, whoever that is?
Oh, crazy! And maybe it's a producer or something. I don't know. I just had that, or maybe it's a Bruckheimer thing. That's it.
So that was the thing that struck me right away was the Bruckheimer, lightning bolt at the beginning. And I kind of feel like if they had made sequels to Top Gun like back in the 80s and 90s, that this would be about Top Gun 4.
Top Gun in space. Yeah.
Like they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they're like, taking what looks like a giant F-14 space shuttle like into space to blow this thing up.
But yeah, actually that's interesting because now it's like I'm going to go see a Michael Bay film or I'm going to see this director's film, and also in the 90s, but in the 90s it was like we were actually stringing the Bruckheimer films together. So it's like, oh, Con Air is the next Bruckheimer film. So it's kind of interesting. Do we have like star producers anymore? I mean, he came back and made Maverick and even stuck Simpson's name on again, right? But
right. Yeah, he did. I thought that was a nice touch.
Could you bring that up quite a lot, Matt, like in the 90s doing that? And
but
that just seems weird to me. So I don't think that is the equivalent anymore.
Like I remember Roland Emmerich and that made I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Independence Day. Then they had to do something bigger, so they made Godzilla, and then I think they had to do something even bigger, and I forget what that was. But they were
Day After Tomorrow then.
Yeah, but they kept making bigger and bigger and bigger as a production team. So yeah, I think you're exactly right that star producer thing is gone. Maybe that's because of all the investment of kind of international money into Hollywood. Maybe that's toned that down somewhat.
Oh, sorry, Kevin Feige. We do have one.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
But people are like, we're seeing the MCU film, and I didn't actually know how to pronounce his name till like 2 weeks ago. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and the Russo brothers too would probably be another example of that. In the Marvel universe.
You brought up the Emmerich and Godzilla. There's a scene at the start of this film where the bit you talked about, he's got all the toy Godzillas. And then I always get that confused with Independence Day, because Independence Day, the kids playing with toy Godzillas all the way through.
So I loved that, when that little dog, I don't think it was a pug. I think it was some kind of a terrier or something went after that Godzilla. And it was, you're getting like full on Godzilla noise out of it. It was so reminiscent of that era of movies. I laughed out loud.
But then that made me wonder if there was there a battle there whether Emmerich or Michael Bay was going to direct Godzilla? Because I kind of want to see the Godzilla that came from the universe where Michael Bay directed it.
I almost feel like the Transformer movies count.
Yeah, pretty close. It starts getting the dinosaurs in there eventually.
Right. So, obviously a lot more metal, but you take what you can get. And hey, look behind your head, you're getting your monster movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just look down on the floor, you're getting your little little dog versus Godzilla movie, which was kind of cool in this one.
That'd be a good premise for a movie. Dog versus, well, they have Bambi versus Godzilla, didn't they? And the animation early. That's just Bambi like sitting there and getting stomped. But
oh yeah, I remember watching that one on Newgrounds when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So Matt, you said you saw Fifth Element one week, and then you think you saw Armageddon like the very next weekend?
Oh no, I think it was a year apart. I think
okay.
It was 97.
I was gonna say they were both Bruce Willis flicks. I was, I know he was cranking out some movies back then, but I didn't think they were coming out that frequently.
No, I was saying in 97 when I came out of Fifth Element, they just had right at the exit door like this massive cardboard like.
Oh, they were already pushing it hard like a year out.
Right, without a clue of what it was about, other than Bruce Willis was going to be in it, and the rest of them weren't really stars. Oh, before we move off from the actors, I guess Liv Tyler did a few movies, and has she done anything recently?
My wife and I were talking about that, and she said she's basically retired from acting. I mean, obviously she was a big part of the Lord of the Rings films. The Royal Tenenbaums, was she in that?
She was Betty in 2008's The Incredible Hulk. That's the last thing I remember seeing her in. but that's
yeah.
like 14 years ago now.
Right. Just it's interesting sometimes when you go in these 90s movies. It's just we're getting there, you know. In the 90s, it was these actors from the 60s that would kind of like come out from nowhere again, and now it's like there's all these 90s actors that it's like, wait a minute, yeah, they were actually real big for a time.
Yeah, I would love to see her back doing some more work.
I have found myself more and more recently, though, now that we haven't done Alien yet. Well, I'm going to talk about how I tend to just fast forward through the egg jump scene because I don't like that scare jump. I the last 3 times on this, I have to admit I did just go sail past the animal crackers.
So I had it on. I was flying from I was riding in the back of an airplane this morning, and I had this movie on my iPad, and I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, okay, you know, the dress is coming unbuttoned. Oh, the bra's showing. Oh, there goes the animal cracker. I should probably cover my iPad in case there's a little kid watching this from the row behind me. But I'm like, it can't be that bad, or there would have been a warning. So, and it wasn't. Luckily, they held up without it. But it's a scene that is oddly difficult to watch. It's kind of like, ugh.
I think I got my finger on it. I mean, the animal cracker is kind of lame, but the thing is, you basically have dad singing about it, like, I'm gonna watch my daughter bone Affleck. You know, it's just like that's creepy. Like, even like it's not Affleck's like slightly creepy. He's forgivable creepy, but then you're like, dad's singing a romantic ballad for them to bang, and that's weird.
I don't want to miss one thing, even if you're with your boyfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm never gonna be able to watch that scene again, because I always thought my suspension of disbelief had, even now I was like, what do you mean, man? Harry Stamper wasn't singing that song. That was Steven Tyler. Oh.
Yeah, it gets more real, doesn't it?
Yeah, all of a sudden, yeah, I'm not good with that. Okay, at all.
Sorry, I just ruined the movie. I ruined that scene for you. I ruined that scene for myself a long time ago. So
I tell you what, whoever made the 2010 Space Battleship Yamato must have loved Steven Tyler, because they had him back to do the closing credits song for that, and it was almost the same exact song.
Wow.
Hey, if it works,
Like,
you just keep doing it.
Not quite. It went love lives, love lives, love lives. And on and on and on. But it was good. It was very reminiscent of the Armageddon song. And I thought well done too.
This is a quantum ripple, I guess, going in the other direction. But I noticed like a lot of the instrumental theme sounded a bit like My Heart Will Go On, but Titanic didn't come out till a year later. So
yeah, and you know, and you know, are you familiar with you know, who did the scoring in this film? I was not.
It's, Alan Silvestri. No, wait, that's incorrect, because that was Contact, the other film we did recently. I wonder if it's the guy who usually works with Michael Bay, which is
you're feeling Michael Bay trivia.
Steve Jablonsky.
Okay.
I know that because I own all the Transformers soundtracks.
Good. Yeah, I had that in my notes somewhere, and I'm kind of scrolling through it, and I'm glad you came across that. But I thought the scoring was good. You know, a little in your face at points, but definitely
Trevor Rabin, apparently.
Trevor Rabin. Yeah, I just came across it right there. Trevor Rabin. But I thought it was good for somebody, you know, that I hadn't heard from and wasn't familiar with their musical chops. I thought it was really good. You know, especially this kind of movie that is very, you know, like I said, you know, bigger than big.
Oh, although speaking of Nicolas Cage, looking at all Trevor Rabin's work, it's like National Treasure, Con Air, Gone in 60 Seconds.
Another quantum ripple going in the wrong direction of linear time. That's cool. I guess this is the first like Michael Bay rah America scenes. Because Emmerich would have done the year before, right, for Independence Day. But we are back to like only America can save the planet, and this crew doesn't even have any like foreigners on it or anything.
I thought it was funny that general, that 2-star general that showed up on the rig to get Harry Stamper, framed it as a matter of national security. I was like, dude, there's a bigger picture here, man. Like, this is not a matter of national security. This is a matter of like global existence.
Yeah, that doesn't get your blood pumping.
Yeah.
So this being a dumb movie, I mean, there is kind of a relatively smart conundrum to think about, and that in this situation, and the plan sounds reasonable, I guess.
Hey, Jason Isaacs thought of it, man. How could it not be reasonable?
Yeah, he makes any plan sound good. So I am wondering, what is it better to send actual trained astronauts, or a bunch of roughnecks who do know the drilling aspect?
Yeah, because people bring it up as like, oh, that's really dumb. Surely it makes more sense to train astronauts to drill than drillers to astronaut. But the point Bruce Willis makes is, do these guys actually have to do any flying, or have they just got to drill?
Right,
but they've got pilots to do the flying. They just have to drill. So I think it does make sense to send the drillers.
Yeah, none of that astronaut stuff, right? Just drill. And he's like, yeah, just drill. And he's like, all right, let me and my guys do it. Because he saw what they were doing to his equipment that they ripped off, and couldn't figure it out. I don't know what those drill bits look like, if they're all very similar looking. I did at one point read a little bit about Howard Hughes, who at one point made a bunch of movies and owned TWA and was a billionaire and very eccentric and kind of lost his mind. You can see all that in the movie The Aviator with DiCaprio. But what got him rich was the patent on that drill bit for the Hughes Tool and Die Corporation. And it looked very similar to that, kind of that 3-headed, geared device that I guess kind of chews up the dirt and then kind of like spits it backward, up the pipe vertically, so that the drill bit can keep going down and not get resistance. So I thought that was definitely a neat, and it's probably what every drill bit in the world looks like now for that kind of mining. Yeah,
Truman does say like, oh, there is no backup plan, but
they had a backup plan.
Oh, that one, yeah. But again, that's why I was bringing up it's just America. I'm like, surely China's doing something too. It's not like everyone else is just going to sit around and wait to see what America's going to do.
There were so many funny little time jumps, right? So the general shows up on the rig and he's like, dude, you got to come with me now. It's a matter of national security. And he's like, all right, I'll go save America with you. Handshake, and then he's supposedly, I think, right on a helicopter to a plane to the US of A, right? Yeah. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to need my guys. And, Oscar, is already on a ranch, and somehow Bear is driving around on his motorcycle, getting chased by the cops. AJ already has his own business set up because he's so pissed off about getting shot. And it's like, where did they, they only have 18 days. And only one has passed, and they're all scattered all over the world at this point. I thought that was, a funny little bit of time bleepery.
No, it was some Nolan style non-linear storytelling. See, the earlier scenes of AJ actually happened weeks before.
Yeah. Yes, definitely Christopher Nolan-esque when it comes to that.
I do find that they've recently reused Owen Wilson's escaping being contacted on Strange New Worlds, with Pike doing the same thing in the first episode. right at the beginning, Luke. We're not spoiling too much for you there.
I'm fine.
Just doesn't want to be contacted. You get on a horse and you ride away. He's riding away. Well, in this movie, he's riding away from the sunset. That's kind of fun. With helicopters. I think that's on my bucket list. I want to be chased by helicopters while I'm on horseback.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked Owen Wilson in this movie. I mean, I thought he was great. I liked his kind of, and I think even when Gracie, Liv Tyler's character, introduced him, she was like, he's kind of quirky, but he's brilliant. And he's just asking questions like, so what kind of conditions can we expect on that asteroid? Okay, cool. So just scariest imaginable. That's all I got to say. Scariest imaginable conditions. I got it. Good. Cool. And I'm 98% excited, 2% scared, or maybe it's 2% excited, 98% scared. I don't know. That's why it's so exciting. It's so mixed up. I really liked his character and his delivery in this film. And granted, it hasn't changed a whole lot over the last 25 years, but it's still, I think he's just a likable guy. He plays a likable guy.
didn't get many wows. That was a shame.
Well, he gets off too quickly, doesn't he?
Yeah, I was like, I wrote that down. I was like, I was just kind of like going down and jotting things down. I was like, Oscar's dead. Oh no.
Well, it gives,
I thought he would surely make it deeper into the movie than that.
gives Buscemi the chance to go real crazy. You can't
So I thought it was interesting that the this asteroid they said was the size of Texas, and the one that Heston talked about at the beginning of the movie was only 6 miles across, and it did all that damage. So wow, that's a lot. That's big. That's big change. Big difference.
Well, I think they were saying in the film in this asteroid wouldn't just have like caused a mass extinction; it would have literally made the Earth unlivable.
That's right. He said not even. I think he said not even bacteria would survive. Right.
Yeah.
That's when Heston was like, "Count me in." the notorious ending of Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
cold, like, dying world.
A planet once known as Earth.
Yeah, I think he just maybe really gets into that. Maybe that's why he's son.
Just a big accelerationist.
What's your favorite explosion? I feel like that's a good question for a Michael Bay film.
I felt like my favorite explosion was my favorite one to talk about anyway was when the shuttle got hit by the debris early on in the movie, and it just like blew, it had like an explosion and like 2 or 3 follow-up explosions. Yeah. I'm like, I don't think a space shuttle would do that. They're not really like carrying any fuel to get back. I don't know that there's really enough oxygen in there to explode. It'd probably vaporize right away, and it's that secondary and tertiary explosion just made me laugh. I thought it was funny.
The meteorites are made of dynamite, so
well, they would have a bit of atmosphere because it's trailing all that dirt and stuff. So I guess theoretically, if you're close enough, there could be a bit of more of an explosion than in normal space.
Hey, sounds good to me, man. You can be our science advisor anytime.
We already got one. Let's see. What is my favorite? Well, this is the time when we were just like, what world famous sites are going to get taken in this movie? That's the big
right
thing, isn't it? After that,
yeah,
it's not so fun on film, but yeah, this time it's like, well, the White House blew up last year, so like you said, the
Independence Day, right?
Yeah, Hong Kong, Paris, yeah.
Just I think my favorite is just all of Paris just getting blinked out in a second. So, like, it'd be too depressing if you blew up an American city. Let's just blow up Paris
and Hong Kong.
Yeah, I mean, New York took a licking. I mean, you could see both towers of the World Trade Center were, heavily damaged. That was kind of eerie to look at. There was one that went into the Pacific, right, and did quite a bit of damage in the South Pacific, if I remember. And then there was the, I don't remember if that was the same as was it a Shanghai hit or was it?
I think it was Hong Kong.
Okay, and then so the Hong Kong one was I think the biggest sort of one that happened, or maybe Paris. I'm not really sure. Both of those were big. Just good thing it wasn't right here in good old America, because
America they were showing resistance against that asteroid.
That's right. We were fighting again. We're fighting it.
Not like the French just waiting for the world to end,
rolling over and playing dead.
That gets into, Matt, something I did notice about the film, which is they try really hard to make the asteroid feel like a villain. Like they know. That's why I think I so much prefer when he did start doing the Transformers, because you've got an actual bad guy. Like you can hate the Decepticons, you can't hate a rock. It's just a big rock.
Yeah, I didn't know.
And they're doing bits like, oh, I think it's pissed. It knows we're here to kill it and stuff like that. And it's like, they should have just gone the whole hog and made it that thing from Fifth Element, and actually is an evil space rock that wants to kill us.
I kind of thought the villains were either General Kimsey, the general that just kept saying, this isn't going to work. This is the best plan you got. This is terrible. And he's just kind of like rooting against him the whole time, until he, gets the backup plan. Or the other guy that I thought was maybe the villain was Colonel Willie Sharp, baby. And he eventually came to his senses on the receiving end of what looked like a really big pair of pliers, I guess, that they use in the drilling business. But yeah, Willie Sharp eventually came around. But I think between him and the general, I was just like done with those two.
I did like the stuff where the general's trying to detonate it and Billy Bob on the ground is sort of interrupting the signal and stuff. That was well done.
Yeah, he had that little back channel going. That was good.
But I guess they threw Steve Buscemi going nuts in there, so you'd have a bit of a villain up on the rock as well.
The Joker.
But in that case, the villain wasn't Buscemi. The villain was space dementia.
Well, yeah, it gets us all in the end.
Right. Yeah, I guess we mentioned Contact, but since we brought up the Colonel, the Contact Armageddon disparity with that actor deserves one more mention.
Yeah.
Because you made a double feature. Well, I guess I made a double feature of it too, basically. So
yeah, he couldn't be playing two more different characters across these two films. It's great.
And then the other thing, I was speaking of two actors. So the bad guy in Die Hard, Hans Gruber. This movie had a Gruber in it also ended up dying.
I saw that in your notes. I wasn't that insightful.
Yeah, there was one of the astronauts was named Gruber, and I was like, oh man, he didn't even make it as far as Hans Gruber.
Well, you get the brother and then with a vengeance, right?
But it is a Willis picture, so that might have been deliberate.
Kill the Gruber.
Yeah, I thought he might have had one in his contract. He needs a Gruber.
There's just a kid he hated at school called Gruber. So now every action movie he makes, I want to kill a Gruber.
Kill a Gruber. That just rolls off rolls out of the throat somehow.
The other thing that you mentioned about the going back to the, don't you think the Chinese have something going on? Don't you think? So this was basically like the American thing. They were using they were getting some help from the Russians because they had to go to the Mir, the Russian satellite to refuel. Because I guess the Russian satellite just has a bunch of liquid oxygen up there for some reason.
So that if it gets hit by asteroids, it can explode that.
Explode real good. So I was like, okay, American and Russian. But then the day before, they were like, this is the largest international effort in history. The Americans, the French, the Japanese, the Russians. And I'm like, I have a question, because we've been watching this whole movie and there have been no French and no Japanese involved anywhere along the way. But I guess that was just part of the story.
They just provided some cash money.
Let's not forget, when W needed to put together his coalition, he was able to get like Tuvalu and Tonga.
The coalition of the willing.
I got 60 countries and they're all small islands.
That's like when he was told that they were going to get what do they say? The UN was going to give him Brazilian troops, and he was like, all right, man, how many is in a Brazilian again? That was a meme going around at the time. Man, the Russian cosmonaut, he was pretty crazy. Did you guys ever recognize that actor or see him before?
Yeah,
Peter Stormare. Yeah, he's everywhere, right?
Okay. he always seems to play just like, we need someone who can do a half decent Russian accent and has a bit of a Slavic face, so we'll get you in. Well,
let's not forget he's in the film version of Fargo, doing.
No way, never saw it.
Oh, okay. Then I'll not call him what I was about to say then.
In case I ever watch it 20-something years later.
Okay, he's the wood chipper guy.
Everybody town needs a wood chipper guy.
I just realized what I recognize him from.
Like 80 other films, right?
No, John Wick. John Wick, he's the Russian baddie.
Oh, I have seen him in that. I have definitely.
Yeah. He's done a load of films playing basically this role.
Yeah, he was character actor extraordinaire at this time. So, but he was that guy, right?
Yeah, the guy you see everywhere.
Right. Any other big hits, big asteroid hits you want to take at this movie?
Like literal asteroid hits, or just
could be.
points?
Both.
The one I liked, it's funny that the one part of the movie I think really didn't hold up. I liked physical effects. So I thought the work with the miniatures looked pretty good. I thought those, I thought that was fine. The 11 Gs around the moon, and then to catch up with the asteroid from behind was an interesting concept. The issue that I sort of had was how airplane like the X-71s looked on their approach to the asteroid. I mean, they're yanking and banking, and they're, they kind of come in for a landing as if they're like almost on a runway. I don't think that's how that would go down myself.
Even Star Wars does a lot of that. Like,
oh yeah, like with
there's not a lot of films where
and stuff. Yeah,
spaceships move like they're in space.
All right. So I was thinking, the best way to do it would be to come, if they're going to come around the moon like that, they could probably do that and then match velocity, relative velocity with the asteroid, not android, with the asteroid, and then just be like, psh, 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 and just kind of land on it without having to like maneuver through all this stuff. Like, we're watching Top Gun 5.
Looks cool. But yeah, another film we recently revisited was Apollo 13, which has the realistic slingshot. So that's another kind of fun contrast. But yeah, if comparing those two segments is kind of fun, because this one's just like wham bam thank you ma'am, right? Whereas Apollo 13, it's like actually tense and stuff.
Yeah, and I liked that they kind of roll inverted going around the the lunar arc, because that would cause them to pull positive Gs, which are easier to sustain than negative Gs. Negative G, all the blood goes to your brain, so you start busting blood vessels in your brain and your eyes and stuff like that, and that's like really bad for you. Whereas positive Gs, the blood's going to kind of go down into your abdomen and legs and stuff like that, and you can kind of push and squeeze to hold it back up. So I thought that was a nice touch in the movie on that. But then I liked the budget friendly, let's get the Mir space station spinning so that it has gravity. It's not shaped anything like a wheel. There's going to be no gravity in the middle. There's going to be all kinds of crazy gravity as the further you get out to the outside of this thing. But no matter where they ran it seemed like it was always a perfect 1G all the way through. So very, very budget conscious decision there to have the Mir start to spin.
Also, I was thinking Stormware's Cosmonaut, as soon as that gravity came to effect, he's not going to be twirling around pipes. He's going to be like a wad on the floor. He's been there for 18 months.
He's going to be laying on the floor crying. Yeah, that's what he's going to be doing.
Off topic, but recently a lot of people were sharing the video of, I've forgotten his name, the famous astronaut who's been up a lot recently, where he's trying to...
Hadwick?
I think it's Hadwick. He's demonstrating things, but he's back on Earth. So he'll like hold up a pen and just let go. And he's forgotten about gravity. And it's really cute to see. One time he lets it go, it drops, and then he looks up.
We're talking the guy that was doing Bowie in space, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the right name. I do like that they referenced, like I haven't hurled for an hour, because I have heard 80% of people that go into space hurl in the first 18 hours.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I thought that was good. I really did. I loved that montage of the guys getting their physicals. And when Truman, played by Billy Bob, was like, can these guys make the journey into space and back or not? And he goes, I'm surprised they even survived the physical. And then they stamp approved on it. But the Rorschach test was great. That's Harry. It's Harry telling me it's not good enough. It's Harry telling me I can't marry his daughter. I thought that was, I still remember laughing at that, 25 plus years ago when I saw the movie.
I'm still not sure why Bear felt the need to get up on the table and start dancing in his leopard skin briefs.
Just cause, man.
Because when you've got that bod, you make them put that scene in the script.
Yeah. And then when Buscemi was doing, he was like, boobs, you with boobs. And at one point they just flashed real quickly the plaque that memorializes the crew of Apollo 1. Did you guys catch that?
I even just a moment threw in a note for that. So yeah.
Oh yeah, same here. It says, in memory of those who made the ultimate sacrifice so others could reach for the stars, ad astra per aspera, a rough road leads to the stars. Godspeed to the crew of Apollo 1. So yeah, I thought that was just kind of a nice touch to sort of ground the this highly fictionalized version NASA to something much more real.
No, I didn't put
Independence
it.
Day as well opens with the plaque on the moon getting shaken up by the saucer going over.
I guess this one worked because it was kind of like a quiet one, which made it. I was looking at my notes where I did mention. I was like, oh, it's just like a cool call, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't even say anything snarky there. So,
oh, I tell you what, I did notice watching this film is like Michael Bay is well into his conspiracy stuff. Like, he keeps making NASA films. He had aliens build the pyramids. In this and The Rock, he mentions finding out who really killed Kennedy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the whole
Like,
Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah.
He's obsessed with that shit. He's fully pilled. Like,
I get it.
I get cornered by Michael Bay at a party.
And I like that. I like that scene of Harry with the demands where he's like just looking through like, okay, what's reasonable to ask for, what's not. And he's like, this guy would want some parking tickets. Okay, yeah, we can do that.
We never want to pay taxes again.
Yeah, and then they kind of get to the bigger ones, like, any chance we can kill out JFK? And he's like, nah. And I love Billy Bob's answer. He was like, yeah, sure, we could probably take care of some of that stuff.
Yeah.
that's why they waited till after that to bring up the taxes. Like, okay, some of that stuff, and here's the important one, folks.
Then here's the big one: never pay taxes, ever.
I mean, I guess if I was in Billy Bob Thornton's position, I'd just be saying yes to everything, because if they fail, fuck it, the world's gone. Who cares?
Yeah.
And if they succeed,
100%.
someone else can deal with that.
Yeah, I'm like at the end of this movie, Buscemi's like, I'm still gonna die, guys.
Yeah, and he was wanting to stay behind, and if he was like, hey, look, I've got $100,000 to a loan shark, I'm the guy for this job, give me the trigger. But I don't think they could trust him, although they did allow him to draw straws due to the space dementia and all.
Oh, yeah, just lift the lever, press a button, right? Which Stemper makes look hard, of course, but
Yeah.
he almost, he did almost mess it up. Yeah, he had one job and he did almost not complete it.
So if he'd actually failed, that would have been a real dick move that he didn't let Ben Affleck go.
or if he just like sat there like, think you're gonna marry my daughter, huh?
I'll destroy the earth before I let you marry my daughter.
I thought it was funny how there was very selective gravity, how like, a kick in the balls will make you fly out into space, but these giant rocks are just like crashing down around them, so, hey, whatever it takes. Maybe those kind of rocks have more, I don't know,
extra massive elemental steel that we haven't discovered
yet. Maybe they're like magnetic rocks and they're attracted by the other ones. Maybe it's magnetism, not gravity.
See, I don't know. There's all the science in this movie.
so much science.
I'd like to hear the Neil deGrasse debunking on this one.
Yeah. So I was telling one of my buddies that I was, going to have this chat with you tonight, and he was like, "Oh my God!" He goes, "Who's the scientist?" And I go, "Neil deGrasse Tyson." And he goes, "Yeah, he shreds this movie whenever he gets a chance to." So I'm like, I don't know. That's up to him. I think he's probably got bigger fish to fry than, just kind of bashing, dunking on a 25-year-old movie.
I don't think anyone making this film was under any pretensions that they knew what they were talking about. I think Michael Bay was like, yeah, we're going to make a really realistic picture. It's going to accurately express the rigors of space travel. I want to blow shit up.
That's it, man. You got to have explosions.
Again, that's one of the fascinating things about this movie, because if you do want those things, you have Deep Impact, which isn't a bad movie, but it's just like we keep saying, it's this movie has a special sauce where it can be as dumb as it wants and it still works, where Deep Impact thinks too hard and it's off sulking in the corner. It's made well, it's thoughtful, but let's blow shit up.
and it's like so many movies, sci-fi or other, that just kind of comes down to the relationships. But I think, honestly, I think Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler were cute as hell together. I think Harry's kind of acceptance of AJ and their kind of what became a father-son relationship, antagonistic at first and then, mutual respect later. Like, I thought those things were pretty cool. I thought, it's kind of that gradual building of trust between, Colonel Willie Steer. What was that his name? And Harry Stamper was good. I thought Truman behind the scenes supporting everybody. So there was a lot of good, I think, interpersonal play in this movie, regardless of the how big and dumb the science was. And I think that's what I enjoyed. It had kind of a, Steven Tyler at the top of his game, singing about his daughter getting, animal crackers running around on her, midsection was a little bit weird, I guess, now that I've been informed that that's what was happening. But I still think, the music was good, especially the main theme song of this movie. I thought was outstanding.
So people love to make fun of Michael Bay, but he does sum it right, because a lot of people watch his films and enjoy them.
I think it's because you feel like a little bit like your intellect has been insulted, because like you mentioned, all those character threads that do draw you in, and then you're like, and it's so obvious, but it's still effective. I it's kind of like Michael Bay's making like amazing finger paintings, Yeah.
Well, I've been watching Disney stuff recently, and it's like they cynically laser target the way to make you have these emotional responses, but I'm still having them. Like, I can sit there and say like, oh, this is so cheesy, but I've still got a tear in my eye when like Mulan's dad accepts her or whatever.
Yeah, and honest to God, when Harry and Gracie were having that conversation, and the tear that Bruce Willis shed. I mean, I wasn't crying, but I could feel my emotional buttons getting pushed and, starting to well up a little bit. Like I thought there was a lot to be said for it. And a film like this, you go see, it's like going to see a Mission Impossible movie, right? There's no way you can believe everything you see in a Mission Impossible movie, but it's just big and over the top, and there's good stunts. And I leave and I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted to go see. But other franchises, I don't really want to see that. I want to see something a little bit more grounded, a little bit more maybe hard science, or maybe at least just something with maybe a message or a moral or a meaning, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this one is easier to stomach in a post-Transformers world, because maybe people at the time were expecting something more realistic and grounded that deals in the actual science of an asteroid. Whereas now that I've seen Michael Bay give me transforming robots 5 times, maybe I'm just like, oh yeah, no, this is exactly what I expect from this film. Absolute nonsense.
If you want to go to a movie and see robots, transforming robots, and somebody following a woman around with a camera, kind of like at knee level, aiming up, Michael Bay is the guy for you.
Doesn't even want the humans. He wants the humans out of the Transformers movies.
Yeah.
So I guess the question on how is this one holding up 25 years later is pretty well. It doesn't have the CGI. I mean, it's got a little CGI, but it has enough models and stuff, like you said, that it really has like that kind of fun, gritty feel of an older movie.
Like there's one or two jokes here and there that haven't aged, but overall.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, if you're watching a movie made in the 90s that has jokes, a few of them probably didn't age well.
Yeah, there's a couple of Buscemi's like, hey, I don't know how old she was, or I swear she didn't tell me her age. It's like, oh, nothing like a little light pedophilia joke to like, to remind you it's the 90s. So yeah, those obviously did not. They shouldn't even have been there in the first place, really. But I think a lot of the, the Owen Wilsonisms, I think held up really well. I think that was fun. You mentioned the CGI. I noticed there was in the credits, there was one line, and they had several different kind of sections of the credits where people worked on different parts of the film, but one of the companies credited with special effects was Computer Graphics Incorporated. So I was like, wow, that's the one company doing computer graphics. They got to name the company, and everybody else was doing miniatures, I guess.
I did notice they literally had like different companies listed for different effects shots in the film.
Right.
Whereas these days, like, it's just Marvel hires
5 minute scroll of names.
Oh yeah, but like
all Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah, we just hire this one sweatshop and they just pump it all out in post. But
yeah, it's nice, I guess. And it's weird calling this old style movie making because this was the newest, shiniest thing when it came out, and I remember that.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, 25 years. It's blowing my mind that this and Contact are now that vintage. But I was gonna say, Michael Bay's still at it though. He had what Romeo and Juliet clauses in his movie just a few years ago. He hasn't gotten off of it, unfortunately.
That's funny. I didn't realize that. But yeah, he continues to do great work, and you can see his methods and his storytelling has matured. I thought what was it, the Benghazi movie, 13 Hours, is that what it was called? Maybe it was a different number of hours, but that movie was excellent, and just continuing to do good stuff. So he does definitely have a brand that he has to live up to. And I think the one of the funniest things I ever saw on Family Guy was an episode where 3 different directors told the same story 3 different ways, and one of them was Michael Bay, one of them was Spielberg, and I don't remember the other one. But the Michael Bay one was just awesome. Starts with Peter just taking off his shirt, he's ripped, just flinging things around, and it was very Michael Bay.
Depending on
good,
the
man. You got
vintage,
a brand.
depending on the vintage, I'd have to assume they'd be going Wes Anderson for the third. There's so many internet clips now where people are doing like this or that.
I think you are 100% right.
The X-Men Wes Anderson style, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
I love that one. I guess we'll put a capper. We'll blow this one up real good. And Mike, can you tell folks what you're up to a bit?
Well, we're finishing up season 3, aka the Orville New Horizons. We're just dropping episode 307 tomorrow. We recorded that yesterday, so that's available on the Roddenberry Podcast Network and most and your favorite podcatcher of choice. You can also catch us on YouTube on the Roddenberry YouTube channel, where we premiere that video every Wednesday at in the United States, 4:00 Pacific, 7:00 Eastern. And looking forward to getting some more supplementals out after this season wraps. And I don't know nothing about nothing, but I'm hoping for a season 4. I think we may hear something this weekend. This weekend coming up, by the time this releases, we may have heard something already on a possible renewal for season 4. So exciting times. And you can get me on Twitter at mrichards1701 and Instagram at mike.ml the Orville on Instagram. So
I'm pretty sure by the time that we put this one out, you will be able to hear all of your season 3 Orvilles. So
well, we hope so. And it has been a rip doing that show. And at this point, I'm wishing, like, can we just go back to comedy? Can we just go back to like a little lighthearted, fun episode to just have fun with? Because each one of these, it takes me about the better part of a week just to process everything that's in there and decide what we're going to talk about, because we can't talk about everything. It's just the show's just gotten too deep, and it's fantastic. I'm loving every minute of it.
I guess I should give it a go.
I'm giving it a go. Okay, Luke, what are we up to? What's our thing?
Find this podcast on Twitter at MLSFS Pod. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that. Just search Matt and Luke Sci-Fi Sanctuary. Make sure you like and subscribe, rate and review, whatever it is. And if you want to help keep us online, find other podcasts made by me and Matt, you can go to patreon.com/podcastio.
So we got a whole bunch of quotes from Mike here. Luke, which quote in this film did it for you?
I think we need to stop. I got Earth dementia.
I think that's just normal dementia. Okay. Thanks for jumping in on this one. It's been groovy as always. So I'm not quite sure what my schedule is at the moment. We've been like just pile a bunch of these in because we're about to go into summer school so we'll have 2 weeks where we will do 0 podcasts, at least not on Zoom. So we might do some in a temple at like 9:00 at night, but yeah, they're back to podcasting with the cicadas for a little while.
Yep.
As for a Twilight Zone, I think you mentioned the Odyssey of Flight 33. Your name is penciled in for it, but it's a few months before I get there. So
great.
I'm gonna bounce, gentlemen. So speak to you again soon.
okay.
Thanks, Luke.
I'll go ahead and stop the recording.